is natural energy, which is renewable gas, renewable energy. So when you started, I believe that was the name when you started.
Yes, and still with it.
And still with it. So you had a
Flat in Bahamas. For a while, a few years ago, when that happened, B&E actually donated towards that.
Be able to send some
True, we did it through the Red Cross. Yeah. We did it through the Red Cross. We actually donated a couple $1,000. So we still food drive. Yeah, so we do assist not only in country, but we look because we are part of the Caribbean also. So
yeah, can I ask another question? Maybe that will be my last one. How do you train yourselves? Do you do yourself training? Quarterly?
The training is done on an annual basis, whereby we have to work in partnership, as Mandela said, with the government of Belize. So we have to do a submission when we submit to the government on an annual basis. Training for staff and training for government personnel, no, in our budget. So there's a budget for that. And staff are required or asked to, if they have any training that they are interested in the upcoming year, and then we would submit that as part of our training budget on their behalf. And then the government will then reply approving, and once it's approved, then they will be able to go on those training. No? When it comes to training, from the HR perspective, one of the programs that we had here that I'm very quite proud of that we did here was the adult ed program. The adult ed program was for staff. The adult ed program that we had was for male employees who were unable to finish their primary school education. Right? And the program that we had was in conjunction with the education department, so it was sanctioned by them. So when they finished the program, they were able to get their primary certificate. And we had 25 plus employees who were able to finish that program. We had a few employees that finished that program, went on to acquire their high school education, and two young ladies went on to do their junior college education.
You show the video of it. Wouldn't that be a good one? Because that's exactly what you're talking about.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you know,
and B&E, just to let you know, B&E won an international award for that program also.
I'm thinking maybe I'm going to tell them to order lunch while you're watching the video, and we don't have really time. Okay, watch the video.
Creating opportunities for our employees to mine their potential within. The company commenced growing operations in 2005. The oil and gas industry did not exist in the Belize. Labor had to be imported. The owners of B&E decided to make it a Belizean company, a place where Belizeans with the right attitude could find a home. Today we have 204 employees, 96% of whom are Belizean. We are led by a Belizean CEO, and 50% of our management team are women. This was only possible because of a deep-rooted commitment to training and educating our people. We are particularly proud of our primary education literacy program. The lack of adult education services in Belize is a huge obstacle for anyone that couldn't finish primary school. We knew we had to be a part of the solution. In 2010, we applied to the Ministry of Education essentially to start our own school. We put out flyers encouraging anyone who was interested to apply, and the conference room became our first classroom.
When I first met the students, we did a baseline study in order to find out where they were academically. And I did some tests which involved having them read words at the pre-primer, which is typically what a 5-year-old would be reading. And majority of them were unable to read those words.
I stopped going to school at age 14 because in our culture, we get married like 12 or 13 years. So I didn't want to. we start this class, I can't write really good and I can't read really good.
I was about 12 years old when I came out from school. So I never thought, at this age I was going to be in school again. My biggest daughter was, laughing and said, "Dad, really? You're going to school?" I said, "Yes." She couldn't believe it. But when I started going to school, then she realized this is true. In some things that maybe she don't know or I don't know, because she's going to some other thing right now. I help her, she helped me, so both we.
I have seen the confidence that it has built into them, where they are able to transcend what they have received into the lives of their children.
My little daughter, she's going to school now and I help her and I encourage her to go study more because I told her, look at me, I did go to school and I am old and I want you to continue going to school.
I'm not afraid now to open a book or write.
Wow.
Because I think I'm good.
Yeah.
This initiative can be used as a template for the Ministry of Education to realize that we need to provide education to adults who have fallen through the cracks and who need to bridge the gap between primary education and secondary, to complete primary education. We do not have that in our system.
As Belize's pioneer oil and gas company, our goal is always to be a leader in the industry. This past year, we invested over $500,000 US in training. Because we're involved from exploration to production, from transportation and logistics to marketing and branding, our training has to cover upstream, midstream, and downstream. That's a challenge for any company, but for a company with 200 employees, it's a unique opportunity. The courses provided by international institutions have equipped B&E personnel with the latest industry best practices, technical knowledge, and skills.
As a young reason, it's extremely empowering to know that you're working for a company that is really there to invest in their people, right? Through training and supporting in all kind of ways. We're a very young company, and I guess the norm would be to hire people from abroad that have expertise. But they're willing to invest in their people to make sure that it's a Belizean-run company.
B&E is committed to ensuring that we grow the capacity of our people, whether it's through technical skills, primary education, or higher education. Our training program challenges our employees and provides them with the resources to grow. HR is not about PR. It's about helping people to grow. It's about doing what's right.
I ordered our lunch because this is too sort of good to break it all up. I'll leave it up, I don't know. I don't want them to know I'm Irish.
When you train people, there were some students we took to UK Aberdeen for scholarship, and some of them, it was their first time in school. They had being happy now for the students. So we start the eating, and I could see some struggling to eat with their hand. I said, "This is contrary." Say that
Same idea.
Yes, so when I saw this, I just remember, so I have to do the teaching. You go this way, and that. So sometimes when you have life touching stories, you can only feel it. When you have interaction with people, that is the way you appreciate what you're doing. And it's like for what we gathered so far here today, we appreciate you too, because when you look at this, what they just showed now, it's like life touching. Where you make it 360 degrees turn from where you couldn't read, you couldn't write, to somewhere that can read and write. And just because of what BA stands for.
maps out, like, so Maslow in 1942 did a study on the theory of human motivation. And I don't know if like people are familiar with this or not, but you know, if you take any human in the world, we're all the same. And we're all connected, okay? So the very basic is physiological needs, right? Then you go to safety needs, then love and belonging, then esteem, and then Maslow, right? We all maybe have been exposed to that one way or another. And everything that everybody's talking about here is bringing that highest purpose. Right. And when you do that, people just shine. And that's what everybody is saying. You talk about learning, you know, the cover, there is learning to read, all of that. This is, this is history, kind of like bringing everybody to the highest purpose.
Wait, I'm thinking, because your accent is reminding me you're from Venezuela.
Absolutely.
How much, if you could go home to Venezuela and bring this, it's holistic. It starts, and it is the 360 degrees. And it starts with the connection. And so that would be huge. We're talking here about, in a way, we were lucky in that we were the first year. So we had a blank canvas and nobody knew anything about drilling or anything. There were some mindsets that somebody talked about, colonial powers, that were inadvertently maybe set on a whole country. And it might have happened throughout the Commonwealth, I don't know, about, the power of one country attitude over another. But once you understand the mind and the potential and the human capacity, well then that blessing, that piece of us that is our energy, our love, or all of that comes out and leads. And that's really what was able to happen at BNE. Yes, there may be some challenges in Nigeria or Venezuela, but that's true energy, because we're already in the energy business, because it's the energy of innovation, that will lead and win out. So yes, you do have challenges in different countries. However, I think there is a template for success, and we want you to use us to speak to all the people here. Lawrence, sometimes I can't find Lawrence, the gentleman with the white t-shirt, white shirt on there, because he's an absolute, sorry about this, computer geek. But thank God he is. Because he knows how to work those logs, and he knows how to recommend where to perf the next zone to find some more oil in a field. So he'd be the expert here. Mandela, who disappeared, he actually got a scholarship to go to Imperial College, London. Wow. And he's come back and brought his knowledge. And Carlos is our CFO. So he reminds us to take care and, go for the bargain. But be sure to get 3 bids. And Clarence, the big tall one down there, he can do anything for anybody at any time, night or day. And you have just no idea how valuable Clarence has been to this company for maybe, I think it's 17 years, isn't it, Clarence?
16 years, 5 months.
Clarence has young chaps here who are just in awful, and they all want to be him. And he's a really good man coming from goodness. When young people want to sort of say, I want to be him. I want him to teach me how to drive those big machines and how to be the man that if something else can't be done, phone Clarence quickly. Wherever it is, we've got a port that's about 3 hours drive away. He even has to go all the way down there to solve the situation. And the other thing that Marshall didn't say, he has been head of the BNE for the Big Creek port. And we've spent, would it be close to 20 million on upgrading, dredging, etc. the port. And we're the only company throughout the lease who got the Shell certification. And is Gobi still there? No. Well, the Shell certification is they will not work at any port with any company unless they've abided by all these tests and rules. And so that's really important because we actually want to not only import or export, we would actually like to bring in products and try and reduce the price of gas at the pump. Because can you imagine a local taxi man? How long where does he afford the price of gas? So there's everything. When you ask what we're doing in the community, it's almost what we're not doing. I can't think of what we're not doing, you know what I mean? But the key is empowering them. And whether it be through education and experiential and I gave a talk at a graduation ceremony at the technical college a couple of weeks ago in San Ignacio where we're all staying. And it's saying, good for you guys, come on, you've got it in you. You could be all you dreamt and more. And it's that attitude, back to that word, attitude, that is contagious from BNE and emanating out through the networks that you talked about, friendship networks, etc. And actually, on a lighter note, Ed, would you tell your story? Remember we talked about it this morning? We saw a snippet of the gym and you'll find out how important that is. But go on, Ed. Ed has been with us for years in fire and safety and serious things, but he's about to tell you a slightly more humorous thing.
Sorry, thanks, Susanna. Well, just a introduction to my story. The gym, we have an Educo gym here. It's in the heart of our operations, and what the gym does, like we've been talking about, I have to mention our company vision and mission, right? Because as you see the vision right there, it says a visionary leader in energy mining the potential within. A lot of people think when you say potential within, we're talking about bringing crude oil out of the ground, but that's not really it, right? It's a potential, as has been mentioned here, within each and every person. We share, and it has always been that we tell people, it doesn't matter, right? From the CEO to the janitor, we all have the same potential within us. It's just for us to bring it up in our own way, right? Everyone brings it up in their own way. And I like the next part because our mission says that we produce and deliver leading energy solutions, right? Positively impacting people and creating opportunities. Our innovative, driven, and proven team is our greatest resource. And as the EHS coordinator, especially mainly responsible for health and safety, I like that part, right? That our greatest resource are our people. Because yes, we have great equipment and everything, but it's valueless without the people, right? So, and we go, and the gym adds to that in building up the capacity of the people in terms of, like Susan said, opening our minds to envision even things that we might not be able to envision now, right? And that's something I like with the company. The gym does that, and it's an alignment, right? Setting a vision for yourself and aligning the rest of your life with that vision that you have for yourself. Like Susan mentioned, we were talking about when she came like a couple weeks ago, she looked at me and she said, "Ed, is that you?" I used to weigh about 280 pounds, right? Now I'm down to like 245 around there. And this was like 2 months ago. It wasn't even, but in the gym, again, everything we put into it, and it all goes stemming from that vision, right? It's the same thing the company has, that when you stem from that vision, whatever goes into achieving it, it doesn't become a burden, right? Like people, okay, I eat this way, try to work out every day. But it's not a burden because you're coming from this vision that you're working, and BNE has always been that way. You know, Susan mentioned the vision for BNE has always been to make a positive impact in Belize, in the country, and mainly in the people. And when we have tours, I like having tours, especially with students, because when they see what's happening, you know, you see people, you can see students' minds open up to what is possible. Especially when you mention that this company is 99% Belizean. Because I think even the experts have become Belizean now, so you could say 100% Belizean, right? And it's all,
we only have
one expert here. So, and really it's just, I want to share one more thing, Susan, because I shared when I'm doing tours, when I did my interview to come work at BNE. Like you said, this was in 2007. I knew nothing of the oil and gas industry. I knew nothing really. So They asked me about 5 technical questions, and my answer for all 5 questions was, I don't know, but I'm a fast learner. I don't know, but I'm a fast learner. I don't know. So after the interview, I thought, well, I wouldn't get a job because I didn't know any of the technical answers, right? But again, thanks to that vision that the company has of seeing the potential within people, you know. And now I'm here, I'm the EHS coordinator, you know, all the training, the capacity building. I want to add one more thing to what we do for the country of Belize, amongst the other things, because I'm part of our emergency response team, myself and Richard, he's our fire chief here at BNE, Richard Acosta. In BNE, we have the only team that can provide a response to hazardous material situations. We have, at this company, we have the training and we have the equipment to do it. So whenever there's a hazardous material situation, again, the government of Belize calls BNE. You know, and again, we go no cost to the government. You know, the guys are willing to do it and go there. And so again, just like I've been hearing, and it's true, I like how Albert said it, because whenever we talk about BNE, we talk about our company, our family, because that's what it is. To us, it's something personal, right? It's us. It's us, yes. We are BNE, that's our password for our Wi-Fi, right? Because we are, you know, the BNE isn't the building, it's the people here, and again, empowering Belizeans, and like I mentioned, even people that have left the companies, we've seen them grow with that, right? That they come up with this idea, and even like National Gas Company, that idea was birthed in Belize, and we were grateful to see it being a success now, right? Because it's not just about us here, but it's about the entire country. And when we see people go out, and like we said, a lot of the people that have left are entrepreneurial, they've started their own businesses, they're being successful. We are proud and we are grateful, and we're happy to see people achieving those things, because that's what we want, right? We always push to develop our people, to make life better for our Belizeans. That's our goal. I wanted to one more thing, because I can talk about BNE all day, right? One more thing, because I'm enjoying the discussion, and I like a lot of this, like Mandela said, we're talking about culture and legislation, right? And BNE, at Belize, we don't have a lot of the legislation, but BNE brought the culture. And I think even that our production right now is 486 or 78 barrels a day. Yeah, even that adds to what BNE is doing, because it's showing that you can do these things. You know, you can have this culture. It's not something that the government says you have to do it. BNE started doing it, and so, like Susan said, BNE could be an example to show people, see, it can work. Yeah. You have this company that has done it from the beginning. They put these priorities first. The making of money came. That's, we call that like the icing on the cake if you make it right. But everything, the company put all these things first. They weren't forced to do it, right? It wasn't legislated. It's all that the company decided to do it. And I say, like, even when you say that they're just doing 500 barrels a day and they're able to still do all these things for their country, you know, and for the people of their country, because that's what it comes down to, the people of the country. So again, I'm proud to be at BNE. I'm proud to represent BNE. And I said, when I start talking about BNE, I think we can all stay here all day, right? We have the whole week, no? We'll have all that. Like what Ed said, you know, about the 5 questions he was asked, and his answer, you know, I don't know, but I'm a fast learner. And basically, that's the story for almost everyone here. You know, the petroleum industry was, like I said, the government was scrambling to try and catch up, but the industry was growing as Susan and Gobi were drilling, they were just finding oil at all the well, you know, so the government was trying to catch up. But the point in that is that when you look at I was gonna touch on this, yeah. But when you look at the first core value, yeah. Core value. Yeah, the core value, trust, you know, and that is something that the company or the leaders of the company at the time had in everyone that they were hiring. But they had the trust And they could see that that person had the potential in them to become what we needed them to become. And actually, for most of us, we have actually exceeded what we thought we would become. We have gone far beyond that.
For sure.
Yeah, and when you were touching about the training, we do a lot of cross training, either formal or informal around here. When I came to DNE, I never thought that as an environmental officer, I would also learn to do welding. I was just explaining to Susan that I spent most of this weekend doing some welding, something I learned here at DNE. I saw the guys in the fabrication shop doing their work, and I thought that's interesting. And I went and I asked the manager, and I said, listen, I would like to spend a couple of hours with the guys just to see how they do the welding. And I said, sure, if you have the spare time, be right there with them and try it. And I enjoy it. But that is just one little story of all the other things that happen in this company. That's just one thing I've learned. But like I said, it's the heartbeat of the world that you are in, right? It's the heartbeat. It starts from in here, and it has just grown and sprouted here in this couple of acres of land that you see.
That you guys also have worried about the decline which is being experienced. But what are you guys doing to arrest it? Because this is, yes, you have a passion, but what are you doing to arrest it?
The first thing we are doing to arrest that decline is to not believe there is a decline. The first thing we are doing. We do
5,000.
From 5,000 to less than 1/10 of what we picked at. It would be very scary for everyone. People might have loans, they might have bills, and they're thinking, you know what? Hey, we are losing oil, we might get fired, we might lose our job. You won't feel that around here. So that's one of the first things we try to do. We try to keep that energy within everyone at the same level we had it when we were at 5,000. But physically, to arrest the decline, I would pass that to Roberto and Lawrence. And Mandela, yeah. These are the guys that are responsible for that. And Eugene. Eugene is what are you post again?
Oh, there he is.
Geoscientist, yeah.
So I guess you're doing more studies, more prospects. Right?
Yes, that's correct. Identify areas that we have bypass soil, look into the wider basin, and try to integrate our data to point us to where to go next. But also, it's not just about oil, right? It's not just about crude oil per se. As you have heard, there are a lot of spin-offs from the original oil, right? In terms of entrepreneurship. But also with that, our other geological resources, right? So, looking at other energy sources as well. These are things that are interest to us. And building capacity is, we already have the institution, we already have the institutional framework, but now it's to build more capacity in diverse realms. So now with disaster risk management, now with new energy sources, more efficient production systems, things like that. Those are things that we aim to tap into. Yeah, so it's
So do you have other sources of revenue apart from oil, or it's just the oil? For the because I see you are integrated oil company, not oil energy company.
Energy company. Right, so in terms of the other sectors, for example, like the gas production for domestic use, for example, we have a hiatus on that at this point, but the facility is still here, right? We still have the know-how. We just have a setback in the amount that is being produced. Similarly, for example, like water resources, for example. Our water resources for Belize, we have a framework for that, a national framework. And BNE has worked in collaboration with Belize Water Services in spotting some of our wells. And we work with them in providing some information about our geological provinces and our water resources, our hydrogeology. So that's
Do you charge money for that kind of information?
We haven't really. BNE hasn't really charged for that. So far, it has been collaborative for the most part.
Talking about revenue streams, to expand on what Eugene said, we're looking at, and in fact, we had the head of geothermal worldwide. She's a Dutch lady. She was in here, and we took her to a couple of our geothermal spots because, as any of you know, the history of oil, as it's heated, it goes right up through the light ends into gas. Well, we've got a lovely light oil, and so you know that there's actually basically like a Mother Nature refinery right below us, north of the Maya Mountains. So we're looking into other areas of energy. Plus, out of our well, of course, comes brine water. And in a number of areas, it could be necessity as the mother of invention, but for years we looked at brine as a waste, as a toxic waste. And now we're looking at it for content. What's in the brine water? What could we do with the salts? Is there cobalt? Is there lithium? We have bromine, I think, in ours too. Can we take those and make them other revenue streams? Yes, we don't need to give away all of our expertise because I could hear where your question was coming from there, but we are researching that. And I think probably we're one of the leading companies in doing that research and ready to go because we produce, if it's about 500 barrels a day, let's just say, it's nearly almost 5,000 barrels of water a day. So we've got a huge resource. It's not a problem here so much because we inject it back in, but are we?
Sorry, what about what do you do with the byproducts of petroleum? Do you just?
In fact, one of the things I wanted to talk to you about this morning, but we had to leave, is, and Elizabeth isn't here, the head of our lab, who because it's further away, we hardly ever get over to her, but she is a great chemist, and we have paraffin in our oil, and I have been asking, could we have a cosmetic line and a spa line using the paraffin? Remember you and I touched on it this morning? And could we merge it or melt it with the Mayan herbs, like there's aloe, which is a healing herb, etc., and actually develop and encourage maybe some of the young women and men to take a spa line and a cosmetic line using all of these ideas.
Yeah, it's good because even in the Mayan culture, like when they meditate, when they spirits and energy, they use a lot of this product. So it's really, really very good because it's something you can also export to other countries.
Yeah.
Promoting self-healing, self-awareness, and like energy. So it's very good. In the first line of business actually manufacturing for fragrances.
Is it?
Scented candles, like diffuses,
Yes.
perfume oils, and I'm even looking at products with shea butter, steam. So that's actually very good. I don't know if they export it to anyone, we'll find products eventually.
We don't yet, but we'd like to. We were exporting to Shell mainly through the Big Creek port, and now we're finding it's easier, less costly to be able to sell locally here. And we get, because we're not having to pay $12 for the exportation, and shipping, we can offer a good fair price here. So the paraffin is going out with it, but not being, let's say, used or appreciated. We could drop the paraffin out somehow. We haven't figured out how to do this. Maybe a change of temperature, a cooling of part of the pipeline, dropping it out and taking it into some type of a local manufacturing. That's just one of them. Salts could be exfoliants, bath salts, all the way up the Mayan. We're in the Mayan Gold, I think it's called the Mayan Gold Coast, all the way up the Yucatan. There are spa hotels, very wealthy hotels that could be great buyers of these type of local markets. You're exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for reminding me.
Yes, sure.
Oh, question.
Actually, in the field that we will be visiting later on, we have, like Susan mentioned earlier, we have approximately 30 miles of pipeline throughout the field, and that comes all the way here. And the field is about a couple miles from here. And all the food, produced water, everything comes in to our facility here where it's separated. And then from here, it's trucked down to the Big Creek port, which is about 128 miles from here, through tanker trucks. And it,
Not through pipe.
no, not through pipeline. Where it's stored at another facility down there until we have the amount to ship out.
Okay, so that means in the nearest future, pass it through the pipe transport.
If we find another good source and
So when it was 5,000 barrels.
it
what
was
were
all
you
trucks,
using?
200 barrel trucks. We had about 35 trucks running per day, all the way down to the Big Creek. And I must say that each one of these trucks were privately owned by Belizeans. It wasn't the company that bought 35 trucks to run it on our own. We hired
So like a contract.
contractors.
And Eva over there, sitting quite quietly, managed all these big truck drivers. And they had to go in, and she got really strict because they had to sign off on all the environmental aspects of like each truck. She wouldn't let them out unless they abided by all those standards. There's the lady.
So with respect to that, then, of course, we realize that our biggest risk then, apart from the pipeline that we have here, would be the trucking from here to the port, which is almost 130 miles away. And the route actually passes over and through, it passes over a lot of rivers and streams, mountainous areas, as well as through forest protected areas. So if there was ever an incident where we would have a truck overturning and spilling its fruit out, that would be something that would be detrimental to our environment. And you only need one incident of that nature to actually have government lose trust in you.
Yeah.
Right? So
now she's enforcing that they are up to date even with their safety regulations.
So what we did then in that case, it was a project that I had to undertake when I got here, that we did an oil spill response plan that also included a hazardous material transportation plan. And basically what we did was that we ourselves drove along this road, the route, stopped at every curve, every village, every river, every bridge, every culvert, and we did an assessment. For example, and actually we had it computerized as well. And so if we go from here to Big Creek, one of the first points that has some risk would be right at our gate, getting out on the main road. So we would look at it. What if an accident would happen here? What
From ambush from the villagers.
Yeah.
No attack.
No. We had one incident
agree.
We had one incident when a truck arrived at our port and it had a small leak that looked like a bullet hole on the side. That was in the early years. And that
Now,
was a common
confidence
incident.
shows from people
Yeah.
to you.
You know,
I think that's
and-
what's happening.
And part of that entire program, that even before the trucking had started, the company had people visiting all the villages along the road and explaining to them. And actually, we didn't only explain to
So
them,
there's the communication, effective communication with the
Yeah.
villagers.
but not only talking about them about the industry and what will be happening, but also educating the primary school students or the students that will be crossing those highways. You know, that whenever you're, so you're doing a little bit of traffic safety with them as well. You know, and yeah, so what we did along that with that plan is that we visited any site that we saw had risks and we rated them, you know, low risk, medium risk, high risk. A high risk area would be like within a community, because we traverse several villages from here to the port. And a really extreme risk would be where you would have population around, but not only population, but a secondary incendiary area like a service station or something like that. If you had an incident near a service station, what would be the impact? You know, who would be impacted? You know, and hence, I don't see Richard, but but Ed is also the assistant fire chief, apart from being the EHS coordinator. You know, the assistant or assistant fire chief. Said that bit. Anyway, yeah, but then, so we let me step back. We visited all those locations and we came up with about 183 different locations along the road that had some form of risk. You know, if it was a sharp curve, if the truck would fall in this river, you know, we took measurements of the speed of the river, the water flow, so that we could calculate if that truck would fall in the river. And let's say we have a river near the Sigoon. That river is about an hour and a half from here. You know, our response team responding from here, by the time they get there, that's where we use Eugene's capability with the computer to do some assessment, to do some calculation to say, listen, if the incident happens at 9 o'clock in the morning, it will take us about an hour and a half to get there. With the flow of the river and oil is in there, we're expecting the oil to be this distance down the river. And we look at areas to access the river from Pittsburgh. Yes, we have live in there.
You know, we all should go to, we've got what I call air traffic control. Where do you see it?
Air traffic.
Yeah, oh, I call it air traffic control, because it's all these screens that you see in air traffic
That's
control.
actually what you have explained, because it's not necessarily for human, it's a more of the physical condition. The road is
Weather.
affects the logistics of weather, roads, not necessarily human intervention.
Because yeah, we don't have much of that.
No attacks, no bandits.
Even exploration work, working in the jungle and you don't have any. The biggest fear is the
Wildlife.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah, and hence we developed that program. So we have that hazardous material transportation plan, and it's also computerized. But what we have done also is, we have brought them in for now because we're refurbishing them, but we have pre-staged spill response trailers along the road. So instead of taking a trailer from here that will keep you back from responding, the moment an incident happened, and well, Eva was there at the time when all the trucks are fitted with GPS. So they're there. They're live, they are tracked live, you know. And all of them have a panic button. They have radios, so if there's an incident, they can either radio us. If they're in an area where they don't have radio reception, they have a panic button that they can press, and the computer room will get 3 emails. That, right, Marshall? Right? 3 emails within a few seconds saying that this this incident has happened. With that, we would then decide, they would punch that into the area, GPS, and see which of the spill response trailer is closest to that. So the team would just go there, collect that trailer, and move to the location. So and those are the same response trailers that we have used in several incidents that are not ours.
Yeah.
So the government has relied on us heavily when it comes to respond to those type of incidents.
And of course, you're not charging for all these things. No.
Just so.
One extra, a gentleman called Daniel Guterres, whom you may meet over the next 2 days, used to be head of our communications, especially when we were going to do something or drill a well. So he would go out to the communities, and he was so good at it. The government snagged him and made him ambassador from the DC. So he's been the American ambassador for the last 4 years. But that's the sort of stuff. I was not joking.
I'm just waiting for my turn.
Oh, yeah.
We should understand.
Stay young. What, 70? I was 70 3 days ago.
No, what's the retirement age?
I don't know. What is the retirement age? You should have chucked me out a long time ago.
Our retirement age is 65, however,
Or how many years?
based on the, sorry?
Ours is 60 or 35 years of service, whichever comes first.
No, we don't.
We
It
don't
doesn't
have
depend on the years of service. It's up to 65, so it start when you were 18, about 65 years. Okay.
So what's your plan then?
Plan for succession, as Albert said, keep working here, but just to let you know that the company was a succession plan. For instance, our current management team is pretty young, where our management team was put together about 3-4 months ago, because the previous management team had moved on, and we had to look at the upcoming ones within the organization to give them an opportunity. And so far, the management team have been working very well. Susan is very pleased with the management team that we have put together so far.
Yes.
And they've been doing a tremendous job of that now. So there is succession plan within the organization for people to have that, to get that opportunity. So eventually move up the ladder. Like for instance, me, when I started working here, I started off as the payroll officer. Okay. Currently, I'm the HR manager here. HR manager. Okay. Mr. Roches, he has probably the same thing. He's not one of the part of the management team. Mr. Carlos Avila is part of the management team when he started off there. Started off at BNE, he wasn't a manager. Miss Eva, same thing as Susan has mentioned, she was once responsible for the trucking. She's no longer responsible for the trucking, currently she's a part of the management. So there is succession based on the training that they have received while at BNE now. But however, they have, as they had mentioned before.
How often do you recruit?
Currently, we are not doing any recruiting because of the
low
volume of oil, low volume of production. We are not doing any recruiting really at this time, unless someone leaves that essential post needs to be filled, then we look at filling that post at this time, but no recruiting really at this point in time. As mentioned before, there have been a lot of employees who have moved on for good reason, because they have become developed, had that self-development training, and have become entrepreneurs and have moved on. So who knows down the road, maybe Albert. He said he's looking at me. He said he's not welding. He said he's not welding. And so who knows, Sorry.
We talked about training. As a training lead, you have to take it through both things.
Yeah, our training plan. Not only the training,
training not for your staff?
Not only, not only
Is it both for your staff and for government or just?
both government and staff,
That the government have to approve it?
the government does have the approval of the government. What happened is that the difference that I see between you all, what you have in Nigeria and what we have here is that you all are governed based on regulations. We here are governed based on partnership with the government. And I think that's it, you know, the culture, you know, within. So we don't have the government, the legislation is not there up to par, and we don't have the government with a big over, so to speak, but we are doing what we are supposed to do as a company, you know, investing in the people of the country. You know? So I see that as the difference between what you are experiencing in Nigeria and what we are experiencing here.
Would that be a fair enough comment?
Absolutely, yes. Otherwise, we have everything is similar from how to do with the industry and everything. But like I said, we already built from top bottom, but we are coming from bottom up.
Yeah.
Trying to now get this to do what they are supposed to be doing. You set out by doing what you are supposed to be doing and more. And you became a model for government. For us, we have to go elsewhere to learn the model and come and implement it and say, yeah, in this place, you don't act like this, you act like that. So there's a big difference in that aspect. Otherwise, we have the same vision for community, for the environment, even governance. I'm trying to make sure that we get value for what is being put in the industry. We want to get as much value as possible. We don't want to, even though we have regulatory enforcement, we don't want to be draconian about it. We want to have as much as possible a human face while we get value. And the companies too, we understand that profit driven, we also understand that at the same time, we just want them to do what they are supposed to do. That's why your model is so interesting to someone like me as a regulator. So I'm thinking in my head, and I have a lot of things that I've already taken in from day one of talking to you, and I already saw this difference, and at the same time similarities.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That was well explained.
Kudos to you guys.
You know, it was initiated when Dr. Duni Au, who really put together this team and a much greater team in Nigeria of women in energy, oil and gas. And some of us have met maybe via Zoom.
Yeah, see you in person.
That's it, yes. In fact, were we not in this room?
No. What were you guys?
When we did International Women's Day.
What's this one?
And it was in this room. And I think we went around and introduced everybody, and we couldn't see you very well. It was quite hard up there to see the Zoom, but apparently you could see us, but it was in this room. And I think that Duni has experienced the same thing that you're experiencing, that there's a gap in Nigeria in the energy industry, that she feels that BNE, although we're tiny, Nigeria is the seventh largest producer in the world, and we are maybe the smallest, I'm not sure. Nobody shows off about being the smallest. But
Yeah, it's the efficiency that counts.
it's not just the efficiency, it's the culture, it's the attitude, it's the work.
Instead of just something you have to do, it's not your culture, it's not what you are known for, what you now believe in. So it's a kind of belief for you.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And apparently it's where the company and how the company was formed. And it was our basic training. Many years ago, Mike Usher and I went on a training to understand actually how the mind works. How does somebody get stuck? Get stuck in a mindset. It can be a depression mindset. It can be a negative mindset. We all know many people like that. And sometimes you feel like giving them a shake and it still doesn't work. It's understanding the mind. And we went along because Mike and I, we had the passion, by the way. We loved Belize. He was a Belizean. but we didn't know the steps as to how to actually make it work, how to bring, let's say, our dream to reality. And the training, it was a 2-week course, and the training was absolutely essential and the essence of the birth of this company. And it's from the word, the Latin word to educate. It was called educo. That was the training we did 20 years ago. And actually, I'd say most people have done the training at B&E. Everybody at B&E here done it?
Yeah.
I think so. And why it was terribly important was that we don't know what mindsets are holding us back. Usually our doubts of ourselves are the biggest limit. And then next, like Shell going me up and saying, stop that nonsense. So your passion really has to be in such alignment, know the vision and no division. That's why that's so important. So once you know the vision and know it together, there is no division, and you're going straight forward with that energy, that light within you. So that I would attribute the course being fundamental, because then when somebody goes on a training course to be an oil and gas accountant, when they never thought of themselves as being an oil and gas accountant, they're open-minded about their own capacity and potential. So that grounding, I would almost say, that understanding of oneself, that training ground was critical. And there have been, actually, I was just remembering, probably about 14 years ago, the ambassador from Nigeria came out here with a group of ambassadors. And I must try and find out his name. Okay. It was when Dr. Gilly Canton was CEO. And he said, it was about 12 years ago maybe. And Gilly often quotes this. He said, the ambassador from Nigeria, there was one from Mexico, one from the UK, one from the USA, etc. And in fact, they came out just before COVID, the new batch of ambassadors. And the ambassador from Nigeria said, we have all the oil in the world, I think he said, but we could learn from this model. It's exactly what you're doing. And you're, in a way, following a footstep that was made quite a while ago and linked by Dr. Rooney into today's practical experience. Because you're staying for a number of days, we're all getting to know each other, and that fundamental training and opening of the mind and the spirits, because that's together, is developing and bringing the capacity forward. And that's why this company, I mean, we may very well go into geothermal, but what I'm particularly proud of is all the oil within everybody, follow their dreams, whether it be one of the janitors went to the seminar, came back, and we actually had the UAE come here, and she got them all to polish every single handle on every single door. She said, you are the key to this company. And they went to work with pride, like no other janitorial course. And I said, well, that's absolutely brilliant. And thank you. She didn't know I haven't finished. I went to my family and I told them, we can have a chocolate plantation, a cacao plantation. And she left here, actually, probably this time, she left here about 5 years ago, and I still don't know if they've got the chocolate plantation going. But that's the capacity that anyone, whether it be a CEO who's off doing LNG or the janitor, getting the family to do a big chocolate plantation, because that is her dream and what works. And when we actually follow that passion and that dream, well, amazing miracles line up and happen. And that's sort of the oil within.
If I may ask, this course that you hold,
Yes.
who is the organizer?
It's
Doing the course.
they have a hiatus in running the course due to COVID. And when or whatever shape it comes back in, of course I would let you know. And Patricia Fitzpatrick there has also been, and it would be a tremendous help both here at the company and understanding the steps of the course. So if you can corner her by herself sometime, which is a rare thing, You want to say a few words for vision on it?
Does not say that.
Oh, wow. Oh, so you're building as well.
No,
sorry.
sorry. I suppose it's just, you know, what I'm hearing from everybody is you're really switched on to the model that's happening here at B&E. Because obviously you're an oil-rich country and abundant in it, but learning a true philosophy of how to ignite the people and how to gauge it and bring it up properly, let the people rise with the wealth and be educated by it properly. And that's basically what the Adugo model would teach you. And, you know, people think very well educated people can have a lot of education, but they don't have a lot of understanding of how you reach people or how the world works. So really what you do, it really just teaches you the mechanics of the mind. So your awareness, it heightens your awareness to every situation. You know, people say that's the difference in men and women. Women see more variables and the men have a few fixed ideas. I have to do this job now. But it's really, let's say it operates on the principle. Now this is technical, but it's, you know, we can get into energy and all that later, but this is technical. It operates on how a computer operates. Your hard drive is your unconscious. The software is your conscious mind. None of it's any good if you don't plug it into the source, so you need the energy. But what happens when your computer's running slowly? It's clogged up and you're clogged up. So you just, you know, the computer was built on the human brain. So when you learn how to clear that, you can clean it out. Delete all the negative programs. And that's part of the course. You spend the first 3 or 4 days delete. What doesn't serve you? We've loads of stuff in there that doesn't work. And then you get some people who are just haunted by the past. That's a deeper level stuff. But everybody's got stuff going on. Everybody. I haven't met anybody yet who hasn't. So you're just learning how to clear that. And when you delete the programs that don't work for you, well, then there's a space. Because just imagine your hard drive has a certain amount of space. So you've used up a lot of that space with stuff you don't even want. Like if I said Starbucks or Coca-Cola, you immediately know that, or the big yellow arch. I don't have to tell you about that. It's instant. Now, that's not a problem. They're the small things. But you didn't actually give permission for anybody to put that into your mind. It's there. It's called advertisement. It's the biggest business in the world. So it works because it gets you all the time. So when you strip away what's not meant to be there and what's not useful to you, you now have space to put into your software, your hard drive, what you want. You can really fill it up with your programs of what you want, what serves you. And, you know, in life, if people have dramatic things that happen, we usually sort them out because we put time into fixing them. It's the small things and the niggly little school habits that somebody said, oh, you'll never be able to do that. That's the one that jumps up and bites you in the ass when somebody asks you to speak. It's the smaller things. So we've stuff in there that we don't need. And it's a very common sense course. It's just about delete that doesn't serve you and reprogramming what you need. You know, people will say, oh, that's hypnosis. It's not. It's hypnosis. You're already hypnotized. Wake up. You're already hypnotized by stuff you don't need or don't want. So what that does is clear your mind. And some people think, oh, it's religious. It's not religious. It just clears for you what you want. And then your own true self comes out, and whatever religion or ethnic you following or anything, it just accentuates that. So it's about you, but it's a clear you. It's a clear understanding of who you are. It's so simple. that we miss it. And it's about unlearning because there's actually too much stuff in there. You only have a capacity. So you get rid of what you don't need, you put in what you do need.
Now the space to assimilate more.
Exactly. Yeah. And yeah, it's like your home there. Don't fill up your space for what you don't need. Delete, 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 delete. And then reinstall what you do need and what works for you. And that's the principle that, you know, the company and most of the employees have gone over the years. And unfortunately, they learned too well. And then they moved on to bigger dreams for themselves. But that would be Susan's wish. You know, and I mean, Susan's big wish now, big dream is the replication of the company, the replication of the model. And this is what's happening here with you guys. This is you now coming to see, right, well, we know how to do this. We know how to work. We know how to find oil. We have the company set up. We're struggling a bit with the governments and things. We're struggling a bit with different mindsets. How do we just wave a magic wand and get rid of that? Well, this is part of it. This is a huge part of it because it's a re-education. But it's about you, and each one of you will have a different way of expressing it, a different way of understanding it. But it's like you'll bring more of yourself to the table, and it's actually an unstoppable force because it's if you're sitting here and your hair's growing. Your nails are growing. You're gonna digest this lovely food, but you're not in control of that. And that's happening. And that's the real happening. When that's not happening, you're not happening. So we put too much attention on trying to fix everything in a mental way that actually ends up driving us mental. Take your hands off the steering wheel and learn the mechanics and trust, because you'll have such a clear head, you'll be able to do 20 times more than what you could before. Very simple. It's not rocket science. You're the miracle. And it's now how to live the miracle. And that's part of huge part.
We're in the miracle.
We're in the miracle.
We're right in the miracle here.
You're walking into Susan and Mike's mindset when you walk in here, because they had an initial dream of how to find oil in Belize.
Yeah.
It's very simple.
And maybe on that note, I've had a request for a photograph with everybody before we start eating and leaving and things like that. Where would you like us to stand?
You're afraid we won't fit in the picture after?
Outside.
Front of one.
Yeah.
Outside.
Oh, but I actually came many years before that. Once I knew exactly what Patricia's talking about. Once I knew how to, in a way, hear the mind, see the being so clearly. It was within 18 months.
Or this one?
Before that, it was taking expensive.
You don't have to buy the like picture in picture.
Yeah, that's what I'll figure that out. What to do.
Okay, guys, well,
Yeah, that. Well, if you want to.
You want a picture outside?
But we went for lunch break right now.
Oh.
Already on still the time.
And you want to put any being who wants to go to stay?
No.
Thank you, got a yellow shirt, I'll let you.
Problem.
Wow.
Well, maybe we just take it in here. But you have to go outside. You have to go outside.
See the way you're taking that on, how do you transfer that larger file?
This is a Zoom. What? It's a Zoom meeting. They're recording it. Yeah.
To Africa.
Yeah. Someone is recording it, but I don't know.
Here or over there?
Over there.
No, I was wondering how you were going to transfer a file. I thought you were just taking.
Oh,
video.
yeah, this is just a Zoom.
Brilliant.
Outside.
Thing done? Finish? For this until lunch?
No, I think it's lunch and after lunch.
Lawrence, so
Oh, yes.
You okay? You I was here for the rest of the day.
Things hard.
Guys want to be a part of the picture?
But I mean, it's beautiful. We've been actually looking a little bit at.
No, let's go into our geology room. I mean, more about picture. So you're a petroleum engineer and we have subsurface characterization.
A face mask. A face mask. Thank you. Bye. Hello. Thank you.
Okay.
See, let's go to that.
Right, ready?
Okay, where do you want us? Squeeze together here?
So who is arranging the setup?
Who's taking the photograph?
Okay. Small ones like us in front.
I must get the back of that whole one.
Where are the others? Where is the video? Ready?
Let's just.
We're not ready. We are not complete.
Yeah, but do us anyway while you're waiting.
1, 2, 3.
I hear the giggles.
Come on. This is not fair. It's not fair.
We're here. So unfair. Wonderful. Come on, Caps. Get in. Lovely. So that's you just wanted to hug you?
That's how I said the same place. Yeah. So don't be marginalized.
Oh. No marginalization here, Chuck. So
No division.
no division. Exactly.
Believe.
Believe. You better believe it, Jenny. Yes. I bet that was good for the orange hats. That's a great idea. Okay, shall we go and have lunch?
Well, I don't know how to give me the iPad. I'll give it.
Hey, blessing.
Mary, who's energy and all that? Yeah, president is up.
I have to stay on, right? Because I can't come out.
Okay.
I have to stay on, right?
I think so.
Because if I come out, then I
Then they will lose it. Or you join the
I join them. No, I don't. But I'm not sure if the meeting room was still open. Not sisters. Sila na sisters. Sa asan ka siya ang sa mga ay session ko na may lang pagdagamit mas ang pamasahe. Session na
Yeah, bro.
really good.
Get one for me.
I'll check.
We have fees for that.
Really no one?
Oh, yeah.
First. I'm gonna get that big fine across, so.
You come out just?
So they're tuned in from Africa.
Weekend.
What's that?
With this party.
Last.
They come tomorrow.
Can we have it? Are they the same menu?
They're all chicken, there's a few rice and some salad, some rice.
Oh,
So
how do we know?
Open the lid.
Salad. Is right. Which one you have, rice?
what's
Save the potato one. I don't know if
Oh, really? I don't know if I put it.
Easy rice.
What's the potato?
Oh, and oh, yes, take a fruit. What do you get? Oh, plantain, you get plantain? And you got a solid salad.
That's the salad.
Oh, salad.
What drink you want? Rice?
What do we have watermelon? I don't know.
That's the dragon fruit.
Oh. It's a local plant here.
You really like it? Ooh, you like it?
Okay, wonderful.
Morning.
Yeah, let's feel it.
Oh, that's fine. My phone here and then I'll come back. This color.
Like Florida orange. Yeah. Yeah, the unique taste. Yeah, orange. It's a rice and peas, but Jamaican. Okay, that's perfect. So now you what's the rice?
One, I think there's a couple left.
Check. My bad. Your bad.
Chicken salad. Please excuse me a little because they all had to nip out and get on with their work. I just got the lid mic. No, I'm only joking. They know how to do that themselves. Oh. There are two more lunches here. Go on, Giselle. And is there any hot sauce?
Yeah,
There's
there's
hot sauce in the case, inside.
Oh, it's already in there, is it?
Very hot.
It's a natural, yeah. What about, did Albert not want one?
I'm getting another Augusta.
You what, we what?
Augusta.
Oh, there's one more lady. Oh, we haven't got a lunch for that lady. Good one.
Her husband. Yeah.
They are in with the geologists. I think maybe they may go and have lunch afterwards, so you could take them both. They're sort of, well, you know, they're in a way doing their own thing and going in and having a chat with the geologists.
Yeah, I had eat some foods because the 31 pounds that ate last I found it.
Ah, you did not.
Mommy Susan,
Yes.
I said, like the studies that they're doing,
Yes.
have you tried to do like 3D, 4D, or your previous 2D studies?
Seismic, yes. And you want to know something? Had we done 3D, we wouldn't have drilled the discovery well. It looked like a beach static map. Sometimes you can have too much information. You gotta know when to say, okay, I've got the information, now I've got to make the decision.
So it's back to the energy, go with your gut.
Yes. 2D that you use for
that. We had only a few 2D lines. But how would I say? And we're going to go to look at what helps answer the question, because the mic covered over where gel that there was no other. You see, it's that's the sort of Nigeria, because that will bring the best out of them. Or not, it'll short life rate. Has anybody got the rice and beans?
Yeah, except that there's no stew.
I'm afraid all the lunches went, chaps. But Mandela, or you mean if you want to take the two of them out?
Don't do that, you can say what.
Yes.
Several.
I'll take this to
That's a great idea. Thank you. How are you? Are you going to lunch with us?
Yes. Anybody here from Warwick?
Warwick.
Yes.
Hi.
Anybody from Anambra State?
Wow.
Anybody from Enugu? We'll continue to talk about that, right? Really? Okay.
Maybe he did his DNA and they told him he's 30% Telugu, 20% white.
Ancestry.com.
Oh, you check.
Ancestry.com.
Check. Perhaps you are from Edo State.
A whole group of Eugene's family went to Nigeria and found some relatives, probably about 6 years ago.
I mean, he's from, it's not, his generation that got checked, not so far.
No, I think they're still living people, right?
Wow.
I know his auntie, she actually works in, I knew her because she worked in the restaurant that I met you all at yesterday at the airport.
Oh.
I used to go up and chat to her before I went on airplanes. And she's the one that told me about the whole Nigerian link, that Eugene didn't tell me at first.
Because so linked with almost every classification. We have us. We are everywhere.
Yeah,
We should be more than 200 people.
exactly. Talk about diaspora.
Yeah, we have a whole community in Brazil that's from us. They speak Yoruba food.
We need to say that tomorrow. The ambassador from Brazil is coming tomorrow.
There was some of their names like the Cardosos. They're from Brazil. Yeah.
Yeah, what's the other guy? All those fancy Portuguese.
There was
a Belgian.
Fernandez, yes.
Everybody. And just do the indoor one tomorrow. I mean, today do the and wait for the wells. Okay. That's a good idea, actually. And do with the ambassadors and various people.
Yeah, and it would be more ignited with everybody.
So I'm listening to the sound exhibition. And everybody having this politics. Yeah, because they have such
Yeah, well, as out there.
One Nigerian. Everybody will shoot.
Sandy, you know, the
One of my passion is people like the.
You see, there's no way. Even Finland, we go like anything.
one of the other videos, they put a photo thinking I knew.
What's there?
This Vienna is almost just all those ones we like Greenland. So if I did, no.
I went to Iceland.
Oh,
He's a black person.
It's
Small,
not
it's
good,
like
yeah.
very small place. You go around the city in like an hour.
Marshall, are you up here or down there? Big Creek or here?
Iceland.
Up here.
For a while or? For a while, or, because I know you were thinking of going back,
Yes, go anyway.
You have the friend which is Europe.
but you haven't found
No police, no nothing, just.
the big project to jump into?
No, not yet.
That truck says
Um,
he went to Alaska, so in Nigeria, and he could not forget.
I go there now. Alaska.
Are you closing in on this,
Almost
or what are you
is.
thinking?
Because some people actually apply to go there.
You know, they actually pay people.
Yeah,
to move to Alaska.
yeah.
They pay people to move to Alaska.
Or is it for another time? Chat.
Oh, okay, if you want. Have you cash? I'm in trouble. I'm taking out my contacts.
What's the end?
Oh, what is this on leader?
Use juice.
No, no,
Use juice to wash it. Or use
Have that tweet. You can see it here.
know how to say it. I'll try that when I get to work. It's like usually soup it. What that one? This one.
Okay, but actually, so pieces of.
The guy who lives
No.
Oh.
There's no one so called one. The other was entry.
You did what?
Oh.
It was tired.
No, which company?
No, that's only went for the.
Oh, big hours.
And it was.
Yeah.
It was besides.
You don't get six?
Yeah, you tried it. It wasn't working to tell them.
Who's they?
But you see, come back. So you move on there.
There's program that I watch, the medical program, Monsters Inside Me.
Yep.
This guy, Monsters Inside Me.
No, whatever, that's why I don't use my phone. That's why. Watch, but every night I take it out, that's the amount of hours. Yeah.
That's no big deal.
So this guy used that program to watch this. And put it back. That's how, whatever. Hey, this is single US airport. So then I go, what? Russia, then say airport.
No, but it's not part of it, it's not part of that because don't forget when you take out your contacts, it's already captured those in loss. It has bacteria, so that's why you have to use contact.
This one came out from the water source.
You
No, the water source.
That's how you might bacteria.
Yeah, so this guy is,
So chemical now.
Exactly.
he didn't kill the son. He didn't kill the
It's not
son.
like that. You know when I make chemicals, water where I move it at preservation, keep the space warm for like yes, because if I just make it water. It's gonna look bad. I remember I made one of the big one price and I said this baby because if you don't, it's gonna grow bacteria. And you can't use chemicals for it. I mean, those little things. So there's something I just want to use it for my daily use. It's fine, but you can't see that the light. But you there's one light bulb. It's where you use what's one for this for babies about what do you mean? Come on, they just use whatever. But if you use it, even if you use distilled water as
So this guy watched his out and just basically, I know, however, it's a great ATM.
I mean, it's very done.
But this I know, you don't reach it great. They just empty eye like that. So every time you go to it's not zero.
I don't even want.
Why do you trust the group?
So one day, it's more than 10 they put all these whatever besides, it's like the size are fine. So it's one about to give a different.
What do you want to fix it?
I want it to say, Monsters Inside Me. It's a very powerful
inside of your eye.
Yes, guys, that's it. And then you're so seems like somebody had told me about because that's two tomorrow, the other day. We had this syndrome. You know, you almost feel because of that came from my company. Today people are eating chicken. So what am I saying that? She's trying to ask how can